Out-of-state education for in-state prices. That is the topic of today's video. My name is Craig Meister. I'm a college admissions coach. You can learn more about me and how you can work with me one-on-one throughout the entire college admissions process on my website, which is collegemeister.com. And if you're interested in learning about whether or not you are or your student is on track for selective college admission in the United States of America, visit areyouontracktogetin.com. Again, that's areyouontracktogetin.com, at which you will complete a free 3-minute assessment. Your results will be emailed to you right away, and they will help you clarify whether or not you are or your student is on track for selective college admission in the United States of America. I came across a news article recently, and I will read you the headline. Congress mandates in-state tuition for students from Pacific Associated States. Students from Micronesia, the Marshall Islands, and Palau will get in-state tuition at any public college or university in the United States starting July 1st, 2024. Combined, the three are home to about 200,000 residents. So the financial impact on U.S. colleges should be minimal. Still, some college leaders say the law amounts to an unfunded mandate that will force public institutions to find a way to make up for the financial difference. The new policy mandating in-state tuition for students from freely associated states was quietly included in the federal budget for fiscal year 2024, which passed in March. Like a lot of laws, things are quietly included, and here we are. But congratulations to students who are residents of those very small Pacific regions. But what if you happen not to be a student from one of those Pacific regions, yet you still want to attend an out-of-state university, a public out-of-state university, and want to not pay the, what I call, full retail price on the website? There are other options even for you, even if Congress doesn't care as much about you and hasn't passed a law specifically for you and your ability to get in-state tuition at an out-of-state institution like they have for the individuals just mentioned. There are other options, though frankly, they're not as exciting as the options that existed 10, 15, 20 years ago, because a lot of states have started tightening their belts and being frankly less generous than ever before with what I call tuition reciprocity or tuition exchange programs. They're all different types, but I wanted to briefly cover some today, just so that you're aware that this is a thing and you can learn more about it online and by going often directly to a particular college's or university's admissions website, and particularly the pages associated with tuition and financing that education, the financial aid websites, etc., the Office of Financial Aid. Oftentimes they will make very clear if they are participants in particular programs, but also you can go sniffing around different search engines and you can find this information as well. And it can be somewhat heartening to see that there are options out there for some of you. Now, believe it or not, this may even include some students who are not citizens of the United States of America. We'll get to that at the end. But let's start with the most common sort of program where you can earn the opportunity to attend a college or university out of state for in-state prices. Number one option would be these regional exchange programs. Regional exchange programs there are a few of them. There aren't many, but there are a number of regional exchange programs you should be aware of. Most notably, I feel, is the WUI, which is the Western Undergraduate Exchange. This includes states like Washington and Oregon, California, Nevada, New Mexico, Arizona, Colorado, Utah, Wyoming, I think even South Dakota, Hawaii, and Alaska are participants. You always want to obviously read the fine print, but basically how this works is that you could go to an out-of-state school, a participating out-of-state school and program, and if you're applying, getting everything on time, and you meet the criteria, and again, you have to read the fine print for all of this, and you're a resident of one of those states, you could get a reduction in the price of tuition, not to the full in-state price, as if you were, let's say, you wanted to go to a university in California or in Nevada, but you actually live in Idaho. You're not going to pay exactly what in-state students would in Nevada or Colorado, but you often will pay maybe 150% of what they would pay. That's still a big reduction compared to what maybe you would pay for going to that university typically, which would be much more than 150%. Again, these numbers can change from year to year as these exchange programs update their terms and conditions. It's also extremely important that you know that not all universities and not all programs within universities always participate. So for the latest information, I'm not going to put it in this video because it will be out of date probably next month. But I encourage you to go directly to the Western Undergraduate Exchange website where you can learn more about how you, if at all, would fit into this program that is sponsored by the Western Interstate Commission for Higher Education, as far as I understand it. There are other ones as too, like the Southern region, the Southeast region has something known as the Academic Common Market. The Academic Common Market covers everything from sort of Maryland all the way down to Texas, with the exception of North Carolina. But frankly, again, that program has become much less generous in recent years. It seems like every year another very premier university has pulled out of the program. So for instance, most recently, there were programs at Clemson that were available to students in Maryland. And those programs are no longer on offer. But the way the Academic Common Market generally has worked through the years has been where if there's a particular major that is not available at your in-state universities, let's say in Maryland, then there's going to be an option within that Academic Common Market in another state where you can major in that program and pay Maryland tuition prices as if you were going to public university in Maryland. Let's say there's a program in South Carolina that does not exist at the undergraduate level in Maryland. That's how the Academic Common Market sort of traditionally worked. There's also options at the graduate level, even within the Academic Common Market. But again, in recent years, I have noted that there has been fewer and fewer schools participating, and the actual numbers of programs are getting less and less impressive than ever before. There's also the Regional Student Program, which is, I believe, in New England, which is a program between, again, the New England states, so everything sort of east of New York State. New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, these are big losers in these regional exchange programs. They don't have almost any partnerships. There may be a couple more like Iowa that don't take part in any programs. I believe North Dakota actually takes part in both the Western Exchange and the Midwest Student Exchange. The Western Exchange, by the way, is not called the Western Exchange. Again, it's called WUI. So again, that's the Western Undergraduate Exchange. But I believe that North Dakota participates in both the Midwest Exchange, which includes everything from basically Ohio through Nebraska, but also the Pacific one, the West, the WUI. So just be aware of these regional exchange, but there are even more options beyond regional reciprocity agreements for particular undergraduate programs. And if you meet other particular criteria, definitely read the fine print. There are also programs that are offered between individual states. So for instance, New Mexico and Colorado for years had a program, and I believe they still do, but it can get updated or canceled at any given moment. So again, always double check to see if they have it still in place for this particular year when you're watching this video. But they always had for years a program where there was reciprocity just between those individual states. And sometimes the reciprocity agreements would supersede or even be more compelling than the tuition discount you would receive if you went through, in that case, the WUI. Now, another option would be college-specific programs. Some particular public universities just offer really exciting programs specifically for out-of-state students. And one that I want to note that I think is of particular interest that you may want to learn about, and I wish more colleges did this and were very explicit about it on their website, but Wichita State University. Have you ever considered Wichita State University? It's in Kansas, in Wichita, no less. They have a really interesting program, like a 3-tiered program. One is called the Shocker City Tuition Discount Program. Residents of selected major metropolitan areas in Arkansas, Colorado, Illinois, Iowa, Missouri, Nebraska, Oklahoma, and Texas are eligible to receive regular in state tuition at Wichita State. Shocker City Partnership students save about $9,000 a year. So those are neighboring states, and specifically if you're from those regions, those metropolitan regions or cities, basically, Wichita State wants you. But yet there's also another program that Wichita State offers, which is the Shocker Select program. That's a tuition discount program, which offers a 33% discount on out-of-state tuition to residents of Arkansas, Colorado, Illinois, Iowa, Missouri, Nebraska, Oklahoma, and Texas. So you don't even need to live in one of those metropolitan areas within those states to receive this particular 33% discount program. And then there's also on their website at Wichita State, you can see they, of course, also participate in the Midwest Student Exchange, which I had previously mentioned. Sometimes in particular fields, if you know you're going to want to major in a particular field, you might be able to find tuition discount programs at a public university out of state in order to fill a niche that's like highly in demand within that state, and they're trying to discount it. The other thing that I had mentioned earlier was there are some opportunities for even international students. I'm not going to rattle off any by name today because, again, these can go from year to year, offline or online. But for a number of years, at least one or two public universities in Mississippi offered complete in-state tuition as long as you met other admissions criteria to international students. Now, this is relatively rare, obviously, but what a deal for international students. It usually costs an arm and a leg to get to the United States to attend a college, even a public one. The thought of being able to attend a public university in the United States at in-state prices is just amazing. Look it up. I mean, use a search engine that you prefer and look to see if any programs exist for international students. If it's not clear to you, if a particular college or university that you are eyeing participates in a tuition discount program for out-of-state or even international students, then don't be afraid to ask. Go again to their website for financial aid or admission. If you can't find anything on those sites, guess what? There's still something called a telephone. You may not realize that you can do other things on your telephone other than chat and go on your favorite websites. You can actually dial a phone number and you can talk to a live human being in most of these admissions offices Monday through Friday during the local hours of, let's say, 9 to 4 p.m. roughly. So call, ask. You can call an admissions office, or I would say go right in for the kill by calling at a financial aid office or the office for tuition support, whatever they call it at that particular school. Usually, again, it's the Office of Admission and Financial Aid are under one roof, or they're separated. There's an Office of Admission and an Office of Financial Aid. Call the Office of Financial Aid and just ask directly an admissions officer who is willing to speak to you. I'm from this state or I'm from this region. Do you happen to know if there are any opportunities for me to attend your university for a discount because of the state or region or place that I am from? You might as well ask. There's no harm in asking. And I find these days students more than ever are just afraid to even ask. Do not be afraid to ask, because this could save you serious money over a number of years. And saving money is something that will, of course, support your ability to have a higher return on investment. Another program I didn't mention yet is the DC Tuition Assistance Grant Program. If you're a resident of Washington, D.C., you might qualify for a grant that would supplement your ability to sort of pay for a public education out of Washington, D.C. You want to obviously, again, read the fine print, make sure you qualify based off of income. Most of these are not income-based programs, but this is an income-based program. You can't be fabulously wealthy and qualify for this, but it still does give you a supplement of anywhere between $2,500 or up to maybe $10,000 a year, roughly. And maybe they're talking legislation-wise of increasing that to $15,000 at some point, but at least right now, roughly $10,000 for 4, 5, 6 years, as long as you don't meet an overall max, where you can apply that to your studies out of state. Obviously, that doesn't necessarily get you to full in-state tuition out in many states and in many universities, but it can, of course, make it less painful for you to attend a particular out-of-state school if you are from Washington, D.C. So we've talked about reciprocity agreements between states, between regions. We have talked about some of these unique college-specific programs. There's now DC grant program, maybe even some programs for international students, if you really scratch around and dig around hard enough. So the moral to the story is that college is expensive in the United States, but it can be far less expensive for you if you are willing to do your due diligence, as I always say. Ask around, look all over those websites, and if you can't find the information you're looking for, pick up the phone and talk to a financial aid officer at the institutions that you are targeting, and you may be pleasantly surprised to find out that you may be able to pay far less than you were fearing to attend that college or university, and therefore you can spring out into the world after graduating from college potentially in a far superior position financially than you otherwise may be able to. Again, we're talking primarily here about public institutions that have different rates for in-state versus out-of-state students traditionally. But you can even ask questions of private institutions to see if they have any unique programs for you based off of your demographics, where you're from, etc. There's no harm in asking. The worst thing they can say to you is absolutely not, and thank you for calling. But why not ask? You could be saving hundreds, if not thousands of dollars, so you might as well try. If you enjoyed this video, my name is Craig Meister. I'm a college admissions coach. You can learn more about me by going to my website, collegemeister.com. You also, if you like this video, I encourage you to give it a thumbs up or consider subscribing to my channel. Until next time, stay safe, stay well, and most importantly, stay stress-free throughout the entire college admissions process.